Hi everybody, welcome to the full moon report. So I've changed my format. I used to give a tarot of the week every Monday, and I'm sorry if some of you missed that, but I wanted to align myself more with my true practice and my true beliefs, and that was the moon cycles. So I wanted to bring you now full moon and new moon readings, and they will be 3 cards with an extended reading of 9 cards if you subscribe to Patreon. And I'm also going to go into the astrology as well. So I used to separate these things out, and now I'm bringing them all together because it feels more real, more authentic to really how I work, and maybe it'll help you integrate tarot and astrology together as well. So we have what's called the flower moon. It's the full moon in Scorpio coming on May 7th. And depending what time zone you are, depends when the full moon hits. But here it's in North America, Eastern Standard Time, it's supposed to be 6:35. So full moons are always intense, but full moons in Scorpio Taurus are sometimes the most intense. Why? Because they are fixed signs. They're both very strong signs. And also why? Because the full moon brings out intensified emotion, and Scorpio moon is a very deep placement to have the moon. It's the moon of a mystic, of a psychologist, of a psychic. It's the moon sign of somebody who digs deep for the truth. And that's why when Taurus and Scorpio sort of headbutt each other with full moons and stuff, the full moon represents, you know, the unconscious pull that's going on, the deep psychological and emotional material that's pulled up to the surface or that is pressing us. And you can't get any deeper than Scorpio. So the need or the drive with the full moon in Scorpio is to get to the bottom of things, to get to the truth. And that often brings out an intensity in everybody. But the opposition with Taurus as the sun, as well as other planets in Taurus, emphasizing it, Taurus wants things to stay calm and stable and routine, and don't rock the boat. Thank you very much. I'm secure finally, so don't touch it. And Scorpio's like, I don't care. I want the truth. I don't care if it disrupts your security. I don't care if it disrupts your old ideas. Even if you have a nice, comfortable life, Mr. Taurus, it might not be the truth. So I'm going to rock your boat. And so that's what we're going to see. We're already seeing it, of course, daily with different reports and different opinions and different behaviors all around the pandemic. But we've got enough news. We know. I want you to try to pull this into the personal realm so you can use it for healing and not stay so focused on the news and things you can't really do a lot about. You can only do something about you. That's your most powerful source of change. So bring it into bring this reading into how it's affecting you personally so that you can make some changes in your life. All right, so I've shuffled them super well. Maybe you could hear me shuffling. And I'm going to burn a lot of sage because we probably all need it. So if you have some sage as well, go ahead and burn it as you're listening if you like. And we always just sort of say a prayer inside with the sage and the smudging to release and remove anything in, on, or around us, any negativity, anything no longer for our highest good. And when you do it, make sure you do it behind you as well, under. You can reach under your feet and legs if you like as well. I don't want to make in the video, but... And if you've got objects around that feel old or stale, or just need a cleanse, you can do it all around your cards, your books, know, you could do it around your gemstones if you like. All right, so I'm going to cut the cards for this full moon period. So that's 2 weeks, May 7th to the 21st, when we'll have a new moon. The other thing you should know about full moons in general, things culminate and come to a head, and then we have to process them. We have to think about what we're going to do with the new information coming through to us. And then by the new moon, you can plant. And sometimes literally we plant by the new moon, seeds. But whatever comes up for you now, or it's being brought up because of the full moon, if you're living by the moon cycles, you can wait until the new moon in Gemini, around the 21st, 22nd, to plant your new idea. So if you realize, oh crap, I have to say something to so-and-so, well, take this 2 weeks to figure out what and how you're going to say it, if you can. You know, if you say, oh, I really need a new direction and I want to research this and that and I want to move my life forward, well, maybe just let yourself sit with this and research it a bit before you take action. It's good to plant the new seeds on the new moons. So it takes the pressure off. Just full moon is a time of let things come up and see how you feel about it. Deal with whatever comes up. But don't worry about acting on it right away, because we might act rashly when we act on the full moon energy. We might act with too much intensity, and that can sabotage us. Okay? So, our first card is the Ten of Cups. So, as you see, the Ten of Cups, the cups are overflowing and they're all full. The water is all clean. But at the top of it, you almost can see, it looks like a face or a head almost. And I always see like red cloudiness at the top of the head. It says satiety or satiety. And that means you're full. You're satisfied. You're satiated. Everything is, there's no room for anything more. You're full up. And you can see that in the card, because even though it's a cups card, which is water, it's all red. You know, the water is clear, but we see all this orange and red. So it doesn't seem very comfortable as a water flow, does it? It's like there's a pressure building. There's an emotional pressure building, or maybe your cup is too full. Maybe you're doing too much at once. Maybe your emotions are running very high, or you've got too many people on your plate or too many things on your plate. Usually this is my sort of burnout card. So you got to be careful you're not burning out, and you can still do that in a quarantine for sure. Everyone's tired and overwhelmed by just coping with something new and something scary, and dealing with everybody's reactions to it, and seeing who you're aligned with and whose values are you not aligned with anymore, and wondering and evaluating what you're going to do about work, and it's overwhelming. So this is an overwhelm card. The second card, oh, Cups again, and it's a Scorpio card, so that's cool. So the second card is the Six of Cups, and it says pleasure. And can't you see the difference here? Look, there's room. There's room. They're all nicely aligned. 6 things seems to be like a great just number of people or projects, or your exercise, your lifestyle, your pets, whatever it is you've got going on that you're juggling. Now look at how much more balanced that is if there's 6. And then you have pleasure. And you have things sort of feeling under control. The waves underneath, look how deep the waves are now. And we see the blue of the water, and we see these golden flowers, and everything looks very clean. The water is contained in the cups as well. Nothing's spilling over. So everything is manageable. So what this means for me is that we all have to get in touch with how much of our lives is manageable right now. Have we overwhelmed ourselves? Are you burnt out? And you're going to have to do that evaluating as to what takes up the most energy for you, and how you can balance what you're juggling. And maybe we'll take a look at this as an indication. Think of what are your 6 things if you write them down, that you could focus on in your whole life, aspects of life. Write down your 6, and even that, see if that's too much. Because 6 is about the threshold. 7, you start to get a conflict or a difficulty. 6 is a good balance here. So the other thing that can come up with the 6 of Cups for this full moon is this can be passion, this can be sexuality and love, this can be a romance card. Yes, even despite the quarantine, people are still meeting each other online, or they're getting in touch with their real feelings for somebody maybe, and there's a positive emotion and positive, pardon me, intimacy with this card as well, which would be great, right? Oh, that's nice. Our third card is the Fool. So this is lovely. The Fool, of course, the beginning of the hero's journey, receiving the call to action. What does that mean? Call to action. Well, what thing are you being compelled to do? What are you feeling as a new direction, a new beginning in your life? Some change you want to make, something you want to do that feels maybe a bit radical, or it feels like a real divergence from what you're already doing. The Fool card is awesome if you've got a vision of what you want next. And if you don't, then that's where you're at. You need a vision. What do I want? What do I want? That's the biggest question of all. What do I really want? Because once you know what you want, then you have the call to action to do something about it. And that's going to take you on the hero's journey, which is the Fool stepping out and having everything that he needs, but also having no idea what's coming next. And he has to just trust that he will figure out what steps he needs. And it's a pretty exciting card, but there's a sense of you've got to be a bit ready to take a risk, ready to be a bit brave. So for example, let's say, I don't know, let's make it a fun one. Let's say you realize I have to travel. I just, when it's all clean and clear and safe to go out and safe to travel again, I've got to go travel. Maybe that's your Fool card. Maybe you haven't done any in a long time, or maybe there's a specific place that you say, I don't know, let's say it's Hawaii or something. I've got to go to Hawaii. I've never seen Hawaii. And you go out, and there'll be fear involved maybe, because you're like, how am I going to do it, and when, and where am I going to stay? Do I have the funds? Is it going to be safe to go? Can I do this? Can I get time off work? Can somebody take care of my dog while I'm gone? Like all of this stuff, you know, and that's all logistics, and it might feel scary. But if you feel that that calling is there, I must go to that place. It's a calling kind of feeling. It's not like, yeah, I could go there. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll go here instead. No, the Fool is like, I must go to this place. I must do that thing. I must change my life. I have to. That is a call to action. That's not wish-wash. If you're feeling called to action about something you want, then you start to venture off into the hero's journey. All right. Stick with me now. If you want to see the extended reading, you must subscribe to Patreon. You can look below this video for the link, and you'll get other kinds of goodies that I do, all my extended readings if you subscribe. And we will do a total of 9 cards. And stay tuned for the astrology now. Hello, so we're back with the astrology side. Now, if you're looking at my newsletter and you came across this video because of my newsletters, then you will have the chart beside you. If not, and you want to take a look at the full moon chart, then I will put a link to that chart or to the newsletter below this video. So you can take a look at the actual astrology chart that I'm looking at, if you like. So, I already talked a little bit about what full moons and new moons do. I already talked a little bit about Scorpio and Taurus and how different they are. And now we're going to look at the aspects. So that means the mathematical angles that the planets are making to each other and what that's going to give. And there's a lot going on, as there is with most of the time with these charts. There's a lot going on, believe it or not. So, whoops, camera, you stay. All right. So the first thing I'll mention is that the moon is also, when it opposes the sun in Taurus, it's also opposing Mercury. Now, when the moon opposes Mercury, it makes things very frustrating to get your point across. It's sort of like, I need to express something really deep, but people only want to hear sort of practical, or they sort of diffuse what you want to get into. So you might feel like you're trying to bring the conversation deeper, and people are being pleasant, but they're sort of putting a kibosh or a wall up. They want to keep it calm and pleasant. It doesn't mean fake, it just means they're not willing to go deeper. And so they just divert, or they give a bit of a pushback to deepening the conversation, whereas the moon in Scorpio wants to go for the jugular, you know. They're going to open the door to the most provocative questions. And the Mercury in Taurus might go, oh, that's interesting, you think that, you know, next, and just sort of kill it. And the moon in Scorpio is going to be very frustrated at that. So you might find that plays out interpersonally in your relationships. We'll certainly see it on the news with people pressing people for answers, and they will kibosh and whitewash and divert and, you know, go back to bring it to something mundane instead of going deeper. I'm not talking about Trump, you know, he does that all the time. I'm talking about other people that are, you know, maybe more willing to be interviewed, and you'll still see maybe they don't really want to quite go to the depth that somebody else wants to. The next thing that I would mention would be that the moon is squaring Mars. Now, this is really big. So Mars is the planet of action, passion, aggression, anger. Now, when Mars is squaring it, it means 90 degrees. So if you think about coming to an intersection and both people want to go, and both people are blocked, or they could hit each other, they could crash. Somebody has to yield. You know, somebody has to say, no, you go first. It's okay. So how do you resolve whether the moon or Mars goes first? Because Mars is very impatient and passionate and angry. And although this case, it's in Capricorn still, but the end of Capricorn, or is it in, I gotta look at the chart again. It might have moved into Aquarius, forgive me. Yeah, it's in Aquarius. So you've got a stubborn Mars and a stubborn moon. Now the moon, is the moon going to yield and say, no, it's all right, you go first? Well, maybe they would be more patient than Mars. But the moon is, I need it. I need this, I need. So needs, strong needs versus aggression or passion. Who wins? You know, so car crash. So what does it mean in a chart? The moon square Mars is often manipulation. Sometimes it's like verbal or emotional abuse. especially since we're talking about Scorpio as the moon. There's a feeling of, there's a great possibility of feeling very betrayed by something or someone, or betraying yourself. The moon and Mars, when they oppose, when they square off, if it's in your own birth chart, it means that you go against yourself all the time. You go against your own needs. So maybe I need time alone and rest, but my Mars is squaring that. And I'm always out and about and distracting myself with a million things. And so my needs for calm and quiet never get met. So they build up and build up, feeling frustrated. And then Mars can come in there and do something impulsive or destructive and make it worse and make it even harder to get your needs met. So the moon square Mars can be deception and betrayal, can be self-sabotage, can be looking for, covert or manipulative, abusive, psychologically abusive, emotionally abusive situations. So you want to be on the alert for that. As we mentioned in the cards and in this reading, like it's a time when you might be getting in touch with something that you really need to express, and you need to bring out the truth, and you're getting pushback, stubbornness, or you're getting people trying to shut you down, and they might shut you down or block you in ways that, or retaliate in covert ways with these planets. Now, it doesn't quite square Uranus, but almost. And we have Jupiter in Capricorn squaring Uranus. And that just sort of emphasizes this feeling of rebelling and things suddenly shifting in our foundation under our feet. Debalancing our stability. So that whole thing of like Moon and Scorpio wanting to go deeper, and Mercury and Taurus going, oh, that's so interesting topic. Oh, hi, so-and-so, diversion. Well, Uranus and Taurus could come along and just like, somebody comes up and says, yeah, so-and-so, so what, they just asked you that question. Maybe you want to answer it. Like, whoa, where did you come from? And this person can't just deflect, or, gosh, Uranus can bring so many things. It can bring shocks and surprises. It can bring people willing to step out and be more rebellious or provocative than usual. So when we've got that sort of squaring off with the moon as well, not exactly, but it's in the air. Imagine we've got, the moon squaring Mars and feeling like there could be a sense of betrayal here or self-sabotage. And then you have Uranus coming in there that could bring something sudden to the rebellion, either for or against you. It could be, you could have some dumb luck that helps you out with Uranus. Or you could have something that just suddenly pops up like, whoa, okay, this is a shocker. Uranus, we have to expect surprises. And opposite the moon, you can get very volatile reactions. So just try to lay low from these volatile interactions, okay? If you yourself are feeling really stirred up, pissed off, and volatile, I suggest you try to just walk it off. I'm not saying push it down and dismiss. No, I'm saying just sit with it yourself until you get a little mentally clearer on what it means and what you need to do about your life, so that you don't just hair trigger, say, you know what, when you did, and start confronting people or doing something rash. So we might see, in the collective, we might see some sudden rash actions or some, something shitty in the news over this full moon, because it'll bring it out of somebody. Just be careful that it's not you, If you're feeling mad, pissed off, you want the truth out of somebody, you want to know where you stand, nobody's giving you an answer, there's ways of doing it, right? And there's ways of not doing it. And so we want to try to have some of that self-control that Taurus has. And we're going to come back with the extended, if you want to see the whole extended tarot reading and the extended astrology, I'm going to go into some of the next layers of what's coming up with the planets for this full moon. And I hope you join me. Otherwise, I'll see you in a couple weeks with the new moon.